MJ Clemenco here. Last time I talked to you about mirroring, it's also called active listening, where you repeat back to the other person what they said to you before you go on with your thoughts or feelings. And tonight I'm going to elaborate on that because that is actually a component of fair fighting. It seems odd to say fair fighting because it's not really fighting, it's a way to avoid fighting. Um, let's see now. For those of you who haven't seen the video mirroring, what that is it slows the action down. When people are intense or feeling heated or pressured, if you just, and the other person does this too, before you proceed with what you're thinking or the other person proceeds with what they're thinking, you say to that person, for instance, the other person says to you, I'm upset that you're always late to the carpool. Then you would say to that person, okay, so you're upset that I'm always late to the carpool. The other person has to say, yes, that's what I said, before you can respond. Now, if the other person says, I'm upset because you're always late for the carpool, and you say, you don't like me because I carpool with you. No, that's not what you said. So you have, the person has to repeat it until they agree that you are saying back to them what that person said. It sounds confusing, but it's really not. So in the context of a fair fight, the way that works is, and this is why it's fair and why it works, the person who is upset is the person who has the problem. Now, that doesn't usually happen. Usually the person who's upset wants the other person to fix it, to change, make it better, do something differently. In this case, we're going to assume, we always assume that our partner cares about us. And if it's not a partner, it can be even a friend or um, anybody you're having a problem with, that what you want to do is recognize, let's say the other, we'll go back to the carpooling thing. The carpooling person who's upset is the one that has the problem because that person is upset. So if I am upset by something someone said to me, I'm the one that has the problem. Now, I'm going to assume that my partner or whomever I'm talking to cares enough about me to want to resolve this. And so they're going to help me with my problem. So the first thing that happens is the person who has the problem goes to the other person and says, I have a problem. I'd like you to help me with my problem. Now, if the person can do it right then, that's great. But they also, if they can't, they need to tell you when they can, and they need to give you a specific time. And all of this works in reverse too. But for now, if I have a problem, my partner cares enough about me to help me solve my problem. So the next thing is that my partner says yes. We have to sit down, we have to face each other. And then I state my problem. I'll be the one with a carpool problem. I say to my partner, I'm upset because you're always late for the carpool. And that's when the active listening starts, because then my partner has to say back to me what I said. If my partner gets that right, then he or she can say what they feel about it. And so you go back and forth that way until it's quite clear exactly what the problem is. Now, during this exchange, you speak as much as you can in I sentences. You don't use derogatory or demeaning language. You don't raise your voice. You're involved in a process that's going to be a win-win. So once it's clear what the problem is, you've both done some mirroring or active listening back and forth. Then the person who doesn't have the problem, in this case would be my partner, would say to me, How can I help you solve your problem? And this is the beauty of fair fighting. Because I have the problem, I have to have the solution. It's not up to the other guy to have the solution. So I can say, let's say, well, for the sake of the example, I can say to my partner, uh, well, I want you to stop carpooling. And my partner will say, well, I can't do that. But if my partner says they can't do that, then they have to offer me something. And they have to make an offer. So let's say I say something extreme like that. My partner says I can't do that. Then my partner would say to me, I can't do that. But what I can do is set the alarm 15 minutes earlier, and I can make sure that I'm not late, so you don't have to be upset. And then, so that's what my partner can do. And if it's acceptable to me, if it's not acceptable to me, we go back and forth. What you do at that phase is you're negotiating. And you're still doing active listening. But if it's acceptable to me, I say, okay, it's acceptable to me, it works for me, and I appreciate your helping me. And your partner says, great. So now, instead of having had a fight, you've done some very clear communicating. You have actually resolved an issue. And it's a kind of issue, I use a carpool thing because most people fight about small things, not big things. So, but it works in any kind of a disagreement. So look at the video of active listening or mirroring if you'd like to get more information about that. And I will talk more about this because I want to talk about below the belt behavior. But for now, I think I've given you enough, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.